Okay.
Hello and welcome back to the Willie Morgan Show with Manchester United icon Willie Morgan, hosted by myself, Callum McFadden. It's been a few weeks since we've had the show. Since then, the domestic football season has finished. The Euro 2020 Championship, well, I say 2020, it is 2021, but they're still insisting on calling it that. It started. We're going to talk obviously about Scotland. We were all very excited about Scotland at these Euros, and we'll get Willie's verdict on whether we still can be a wee bit excited or whether that's it done. But Willie, you've got so much to share with us, and some quite nice stories as well.
Well, it's been a while, and yeah, all the bits and pieces. First of all, my granddaughter passed the Duke of Edinburgh Award, #1,
Brilliant.
but no, it's brilliant. Jessica, so proud of her. The other things that I know, some friends of mine, they've been desperate to get their places open, and a friend of mine, John O'Reilly, who runs Shrigley Hall, and they've spent millions on it, refurbing it all. And I just wish John, I wish you all the very best with it. I'm sure it's a great place. I'm sure it'll be successful. Also to Hamish Ferguson down at Carden, who's also spent millions on their place. Still not been able to get there, Callum. I will come, both of you. I definitely will come. Another fabulous place, Carden, and for anyone in that area should go. And also my own place, the Mere. It's in great condition at the moment. The greens are coming back to the very best, and my putting's improved a little bit, so that made me very happy, Callum. The other thing that I'd like to mention is Dan and Sarah. They run a thing called Capstone Financial in Altrincham, and they look after the meagre bit I have saved up, Callum. It's not very much, but they look after it. Dan, in fact, Dan has just joined me. Says he's off 19. I think he's more off about 3. I think he's a bit of a bandit. And also Liam, who works there, who's going to be looking after my Jessica, who I've just mentioned, her little savings. Liam, you better do a good job with her savings, pal, or you have to answer to me. Other things that's been, obviously with Steve Clark after last night, but we'll talk about that later. And also, Callum, I've seen the most fantastic envelope. I mean, I've had thousands over the years, obviously. It's the most fantastic envelope I've ever seen. And it's come from China, from a young lad called Sam Zhang. Sent off some for it. He wanted some photographs, so I've sent them off. But isn't the envelope fantastic? All you people on YouTube, if you can find these, use them. It's beautiful. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and a couple of the other thing I was going to mention. Pal of mine just retired, Chris Smith. Chris and Steve McGarry are the lads who looked after the finances, and now they've teamed up with Dan at Capstone. But Chris is just retired, and sadly, Smithy's had to live with an affliction all his life. Smithy, supporting Liverpool and Rangers. Hopefully now you've retired, you can have it cured. Apparently there is a cure. So you can go when you get cured, and obviously your golf will improve with that as well. Anyway, Smithy, I wish you all the best for your retirement. Great guy. And I look forward to seeing you on the golf course. And that's it. Oh, a couple of lads from my past. Les Ritson and Stan Turnant. They'll mean nothing to you, but they were on the ground staff with me at Burnley, with 15-year-old kids. Stan went on to manage Burnley. But they were my pal, they're who I mated around with. And Les, I don't know, I've not heard anything from both of them for a while. I know Stan still lives in Burnley somewhere, and I'm sure Les is still there. But if you're listening, get in touch. It'd be nice to speak to you again. They were great, great friends. So anyway, I'm trying to put off talking about Scotland. I'm running out of things to say. Anyway, there we go. We'll leave it at that at the moment.
Well, you mentioned Scotland, but just before we come on to Scotland, we were going to be recording after the Europa League final. Circumstances changed slightly with myself, but United lost that final to Villarreal. I know it's a few weeks ago now. What was your reaction to that result in the penalty kicks?
Well, at the end of the day, I think about VAR, and it's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. Should scrap it. The only thing you should keep is the goal line. Is the ball over the line or not? That's simple. It's a yes or no. But VAR is a joke. It's been a joke. It's still a joke. If they want to make the game better, make the game more open, create better football, do away with offsides. Don't have any offsides. It's the most stupid. The number of times when you say, was he or wasn't he or wasn't he? What? And it is difficult for a linesman. It is difficult. It's almost impossible for a linesman to watch the ball being kicked and then look up. The guy could be 2 yards offside, but not offside when the ball was kicked. It's nearly impossible for a linesman to see that. It's crazy. Do away with offsides. That would be I've advocated that for years. They tried it in America, Callum, years ago. They had a 30-yard line. Instead of the halfway line, they had a 30-yard line from the goals, and you couldn't be offside within that. And it created open football. And it was great for people who could dribble and go past people, because it opened the game up. Instead of all being pressed into one half. You got 21 people, or if you're Marshall, 22 people in one half. Yeah, hey, something? I think the guy's a great goalie. He had a great game, and it's stupid. He had a great game. But what? You're a goalkeeper. What are you doing standing on the halfway line for? It's a crazy moment. I'm sure he'll never do it again as long as he lives. And yeah, he had a great game. I thought he played really well, the keeper. And I felt sorry for him. It's one of those things. But coming back to, talking about Scotland last night, I thought Scotland played great. We should have won. If Dennis Law had been in the box with those chances, we'd have been 4 or 5-0 up. Just that simple. We didn't take our chances. And if that's not a penalty, then I don't know what the game's coming to. It was a penalty. The guy he blocked him, McTominay. He just went into him. Why is it not a penalty? And then you get VAR. Mr. VAR again. No, it wasn't a penalty, the referee. What a joke. It was a penalty. But Scotland, without that, I thought Scotland played well. I still think we'll beat England. Do you know that?
Oh, well, that's... But before we talk about the England game, you talked there about David Marshall being off his line. The technique of the guy to score from there was good. I know it was an open goal, but from the distance, would you have fancied yourself to do that?
It's not technique. It's called talent, Callum. Technique is a word that should never be used in football. No, nothing to do with technique. It was a brilliant piece of talent. He's obviously, his first goal was brilliant, the header. He's a good player. Obviously, he's a good player. Saw the chance, took it. No, great piece of football. But the goalkeeper, you're not there to stand the halfway line. You're there to stand your goal line. At all times. At all times. It was a crazy... And yeah, I thought he had a great game. I think he's a good keeper. I like him in my goals. I tell you, he's a good keeper. It was just a moment of madness. What he was doing up there, I mean, I don't even know if he'll be able to tell you. He probably doesn't want to at this moment in time. But I still think we'll beat England. I thought we played well. I thought Scotland played really, really well. And we should have won easy. They got 2 chances and they were never in the game, Czechoslovakia. I was dreading, but I'm looking forward to the England game. Honestly, I think we've got a great chance. They're nothing special. They got now.
Just on that, in terms of Marshall, obviously the moment of madness. If you were the manager of Scotland, how would you handle that situation after the game? Would you say anything to him? Would you leave him to deal with it himself? What would you do in that situation?
I'd probably just take him a bottle of vodka and say, help yourself, and I'll see you in the morning. Don't speak to anyone. Don't do anything. I want an empty bottle in the morning, and we'll take it from there. There's nothing you can do. You can't rationalize what he did. It's ridiculous. To be where he was is ridiculous. And I keep saying, I think he's a good keeper. I don't think he had, apart from that one moment, he had a great game. He had a great game, the lad. I mean, I like him. And I do commiserate. We've all made mistakes in our lives, and that's going to be his for the rest of his life. I know Scotland is renowned for goalkeepers, or lack of goalkeepers, Callum. We had them in our day as well. Some of them you had to see to believe. You think, no, really? No. Anyway, he'll get over it. I say the rest of his game is brilliant, and he'll get over that. It was just, he'll never do it again. That's the one thing. I don't think as long as he lives, or as long as he plays, he'll never do that again. And there's nothing he can say. He's made a mistake, and I'm sure he came in and said, and even at that stage, we could have still won the game quite easy. We had chances, so many chances. We need well, it isn't everybody. But as I say, that's last night it was when they saying, where's Dennis? Where's Dennis Law? Get him in the box, and we would have won the game. Easy.
And in terms of England and Friday, I mean, you've said that you think Scotland can beat England on Friday. I'll be honest, after watching the game yesterday, I needed to hear that as a fan. What makes you think we can beat England on Friday based on what you've seen so far?
Well, I've seen England, number one. How many of you? There's 1, 2, my wife, just a minute. I've got my 3 grandkids. I get a team from the house to beat England. They're not that good. They're average. And I'm telling you, Scotland last night played really, really well. And the result does not reflect the game in any way, shape, or form. Any way, shape, or form. We played well last night. I tell you, I was really encouraged. And I'm looking forward to the game on Friday. I really think we can get a result. So we'll see. I'll have a last vodka and Diet Coke by my side just in case anyway, Callum. So.
Just on the way that Steve Clarke will go about that game, there's a lot of talk in Scotland. There's a few breakfast shows that are dedicated just to the football during the Euros because obviously first time in 20 odd years, and they've been debating whether Scotland should set up to be defensive or go for it. What would you do? Go
for it. Why would you want to be defensive? That's ridiculous. Do you want to get Mourinho in as your manager? I don't think so. Yeah, the game's all about attacking. Best form of defence?
Attack.
Simple.
Absolutely.
Simple game played by simple people, made difficult by coaches. Don't read into it. Put your best team out, the team that will attack, and you score goals against England. I only hope Maguire's fit, and I hope Henderson's fit. I hope they're playing, because then we'll win easy. If they two are playing, we'll win easy. England's only chance is those two are not fit. So, no, I think we've got a great chance. If we play like we did last night, we will beat England.
And in terms of those kind of games, those kind of occasions, there was a few people, again, on the TV and radio up here last night saying maybe some of the players were a wee bit nervous. First time they'd been at a major tournament in 20 odd years. When you're playing England, do nerves go out the window and the replacement nothing but sheer excitement because of the nature of the rivalry?
Sheer hatred, did you say? Sorry, Callum, I didn't quite hear you. I have to be careful. I'm sat here spouting all this stuff about Scotland, and don't forget, all my family are English. My kids are English, my grandkids are English, all my friends are English. I'm the only one left here. So I've got to be very careful that somebody doesn't run up and stab me in the back or something, No, you just attack. You put your best team out. and you attack them. And if you attack them, you'll score goals. Right? England's got nothing at the back. Nothing. Really. Stevie Wonder could go past Kyle Walker. Hope he's playing as well. They're awful. They're awful. Sorry, family. Sorry. I'm going to get slaughtered after this.
Well, obviously, they beat Croatia to open the group up, and Gary Lineker and others, obviously, on TV are very, very happy, understandably so, not just that they've won, but because they beat Croatia, the team that obviously dumped them out of the World Cup in 2018. Do you see them? I know you're saying you think they are an average side. I suppose at the top level of football at the moment, there's lots of debate of, is there any real standout side? You could say France, other than France, is there a standout side? Do you think they've got a chance of winning this tournament at all?
With England?
Yes.
I think every team in the competition's got a chance to win it because they're all pretty average. There is no one great team or one very good team. They're all pretty much the same. Anyone can beat anyone. France, no, not for me. It's, you know, you look at the England team. Name me a great player.
I think if you're trying to name
me a good player. Sorry, Callum, go on. I'm putting you on the spot.
No, the player I would name, just as someone we've talked about, would be Harry Kane in terms of a goal scorer.
Yeah, he's a goal scorer, but you know he needs people to provide ammunition.
That's fair.
He doesn't have that. That's why he struggles with England, because he doesn't get the chances. Yeah, I think he's a good finisher, of course. A great player? No, he's not a great player, but he's a good finisher. But you have to look at England's defence and midfield. They've got nothing, absolutely nothing. So they're there for the taking this time. I really, even after last night, everyone said, you know, Scotland. No, they're not. They played really, really well yesterday and should have won quite easy. And if we reproduce that on Friday, we will beat England. If we reproduce that form, if we go out and attack, there's no need to defend. Why do you want to defend? England's got no defence. Put 5-4. See, I would play the old system, 2-3-5 or 1-2-3-5. Wonder what they do then. You got 5 forwards. They wouldn't know what to do. We'll see what Steve does. I think he will be encouraged. I mean, the results obviously disappointing for everyone. We want the result. But if you look at the overall game, the way we played, the chances we created, he'll be delighted as a manager. I'd be delighted. I just want to finish it off. You know, you can only keep creating the chances and hope that, you know, we'll take them. Somebody will take the chances. There's so many. Even before they got their first goal, obviously, they right in half time, but we could have been 2 up before they scored. Anyway. And I know it's, I know people, oh, well, it's all right saying that. Wait and see. Wait and see on Friday.
On the tournament as a whole, have you enjoyed watching the matches, or are you sticking to just the main matches in terms of Scotland?
Well, I had the main matches. I started watching another match, and it was more interesting watching my grass grow at the back here. So I went and sat and looked out the window, started watching the grass, and it was pretty interesting watching the grass grow. It doesn't grow very quick. They're dreadful. They're just all a bunch of very average players. But good luck to them. You know, that's what's there at the moment. I mean, it's not the players that created this. It's, as you know, my pet hate, coaches who've created football as it is, backwards, sideways, anyway, bar forward. Coaches, it's not the players. I'm sure if the players were left alone as kids with talent, the talent would come through and you'd see a different type of player. You have to conform to the coach's ideas to get a game. That means keep possession, don't take anybody on, don't lose the ball. And it's just a negative, for me, negative way to play.
And in terms, one of the other things I want to actually get your opinion on, we've talked about Scotland, is we spoke several weeks ago when we recorded the show about Eddie Howe, and he was expected to become the Celtic manager. The new Celtic manager, as I'm sure you're aware, is a guy called Ange Postecoglou. He is a Greek-born Australian. He's coached only in Australia. He coached in the Greek second division, and he's most recently coached in Japan. What your reaction to that appointment?
Stevie Wonder. Why didn't they go for Stevie? Stevie Wonder be, you know, I hope I am completely wrong, obviously, as a Celtic fan. Why? Who said go out and find this guy? I've never heard of him, obviously. And I'm sure 99.999% of the Celtic supporters have never heard of him before now. You never know. He might just come along and be brilliant. You never know. I hope. But, you know, if it was me, I wouldn't be looking for a coach. I'd be looking for a manager, Callum. I'd be appointing Callum McFadden, the new manager of Celtic. That's what it should be. Not a coach. Somebody's got to take a stand. Somebody's got to be brave enough to say, no, we don't want a coach. We want a manager. And I want to bring the end product to our team, be it Celtic, be it any team. Bring the end product. I'll go out and I'll scout, and I'll see someone who can do that, and I'll see someone who can complement and do that. You know, it's a mixed bag. It's just people putting together a side, as all the great managers did, that people complemented each other. You know, for every Paddy Crowne, you need a Nobby Stiles. For every Nobby Stiles, you need a Bobby Charlton. It's just one of those. It's a blend. But coaches, they can put 10 centre-halves on the pitch, or 11 if you play Marshall. And they'll just pass the ball. It's a non-entity. I want people that can play. I want people that will go past people and create chances, score goals, obviously. An actual goal scorer will always score goals, so that's his game. But he has to have someone provide. He's not going to pick the ball up in the halfway line and score you 30, 40 goals a season. It doesn't work like that. He has to have other people creating chances for him, no matter who you are. So we'll see. I find it mind-boggling, the Celtic appointment. Mind-boggling. I'd love to know the reason. They must give an explanation of why they think that this guy will do the job. Has anyone actually tried to give an explanation of why they've appointed him? Have they? Out in Scotland?
In terms of the club, obviously Peter Lawwell's leaving the club. He's been replaced by a new chief executive, Dominic Mackay. He's said that he's won in Australia and he's won in Japan, so he's a winner, and that's why they're bringing him in. That is the explanation that has been given.
Okay. Well, I hope he wins in Scotland, obviously. We'll see.
I
rest my case, Your Honour.
I want to get your opinion on one last thing that's linked to Celtic, because it's not necessarily linked to just Celtic. You played for Burnley when they were winning and challenging for league titles. You were at Manchester United with Best, Charlton, Law, Sir Matt. Clubs with expectation, the fans desperate for success, and I suppose putting that across to players. Neil Lennon, of course, last Celtic manager. He's, again, just as we speak today, an interview with Scottish breakfast station BBC Radio Scotland this morning, and said the fans' expectation was too much on him and the players last season, going for 10 in a row, and it was unfair expectation to win 10 in a row, and he thinks that's what cost the players.
Listen, the professional footballers, they go out in the pitch, they get paid a lot of money. The professional footballer, just go out and do your job. Whether it's 10 in a row or 50 in a row, no matter what it is. You know, you've just won 9 in a row. If you're not confident, having won 9 in a row, you shouldn't be playing. But it's ridiculous. It's a stupid explanation. Absolutely stupid. The only nice thing was to watch Leicester getting beat. By the way, that was nice. Good old Brendan. Good figure. It's you're professional footballers, man. The more you win, the more you want to play. You know, if a game lasted for 10 hours, you'd want to be there all 10 hours. You don't want to be substituted. You're looking forward to it. I can't believe you come out and say that, the expectation. Well, it's the same expectation after the 1-1 to win 2, then 3, then 4. It's no different. What difference is there? 9 to 10. What difference? No, I don't accept his explanation. The player's not good enough, that's a different matter. Or the manager's not good enough. Or he didn't pick the right team or whatever. You know, I cannot comment because I've not seen all their games. But it always, you know, when he fails and gets a sack, I was looking for an excuse because he was looking for another job. So he's trying to take the blame away from himself, as they do. And so would I if I was a manager who got a sack. Well, I wouldn't get a sack, but obviously it's natural. It's a natural thing to do because you want another job. So he'll blame everybody bar himself. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next season. You know, the thing about Scottish football, it's a 2-horse race. Every time it runs, it's a derby with 2 horses. It's a 2-horse race every year. So the Rangers or us. It's a no-brainer. It's not exactly like you got to beat 40 great teams to get a result. You only have to beat one. Really, you have to beat one. So it's not as difficult as he's making out to be, or it shouldn't be.
That leads me on to our listeners' questions. We've got quite a few that have come in this week. Before I get to questions as such, we've got a message in from Gordon Hill, who you'll know very well, former Manchester United player, who of course you had the chance to play with. He said, "I am really excited to see this game on Friday between Scotland and England. I bet it reminds you of the home internationals, Willie. Those were the days. I like Steve Clarke. I think he's doing a great job. I hope you are well."
And Gordon, I hope you're well as well. Apart from being a great left winger, and he was a great left winger, Gordon, he's a good tennis player as well. People don't know that. Gordon was a very good tennis player. I liked him very much. He was part of a great team as well. And the match on Friday. Well, you know, the comments I made earlier on, I really do think that Scotland's got the best chance to beat England they've had for a long time if they play like they played the other night, with a different result, of course, but I thought they played great. So, and I hope you're well, Gordon. I don't know whether you're in America now, or I know you were in America for a while, or you're back here, or it'd be nice to meet up sometime, pal.
He's still in America, still coaching away and working with younger kids who are going through sort of school age and getting them an experience of football. So it's always nice to see that, especially when the kids are young. You need to get them playing as young as possible.
Yeah, coaching. You don't need coaching. Let kids play. I told you, all you need to do, anywhere in the world, anywhere, go into school, ask the kids, who's the best player in the school? Callum McFadden's the best player. Who's the next best player? Oh, Willie Morgan. Who's the next best player? They'll tell you who the best players are. The kids know. You don't need a coach with a badge because he doesn't know what a good player is. All he wants is people to keep the possession. I keep saying, but it's nice to get kids together, get them out in the pitch, give them a ball, let them play 5-a-side, 11-a-side, 10-a-side, whatever it is, just with the ball. And you'll see the kids who can tackle. You see the kids who can beat people. You see the kids who can control a ball and pass it. And you just watch them and they'll develop. Just let them develop. Then all you do is encourage them, not coach them, encourage them to get better at what they're already good at. You're not going to make somebody good at something that can't do. It's not possible. No matter how long you coach, it's not possible. But you can enhance what they're already got So if when I was a kid at Burnley, when I went down there at 15, they had a guy who used to come down, and all he did, ball, give me the ball, take on the fullback, cross the ball, take on the fullback, cross the ball. And that was my routine. Get the ball, go on, different fullbacks, to put different people. And I beat them different ways, and because that's what I did. He didn't try to make me tackle anybody, because I couldn't tackle a fist supper. I was useless. Tackling, I wasn't very good. I got booked too many times because of it. But on it, keep saying it is a simple game. You've got to let kids develop their skill, whatever it is they have. And they'll all have a skill, whether it's defending, passing, dribbling, scoring goals. They'll all have a skill. And it's just getting them to produce the very, very best. By the time they're like 14, 15, you know what he's good at, you know what he's going to be. And for me, that's how you teach kids, or you help kids. You can't, I know it's a, coach is a word, it came from America, because that's what they call them in America, American football, the coaches. But that is a technical game. You're talking about technical things, because it's all different, everything is planned in advance. With football, you've got a moving ball. There's nothing you can plan in advance. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to beat. People say, can you show me how you beat the fullback? I don't know. It depends what he does. I'll beat him. But it depends how he comes at me. I'll either beat him doing that. I'll beat him. That's not a problem. But I can't tell you how I'm going to beat him. It's instinct. Same with the goal scorers. I've told you the greatest goal for me outside of Pelé, and in my era, I mean, Messi is phenomenal as well, but outside of Pelé was Jimmy Greaves. And I used to look at him in the box when he got a ball in the box, and he seemed to have 10 hours to pick a spot and put. And when I got a ball in the box, it was like, I've got set, it was like, he made it look, because that was his talent. He made it look so easy. Gravesy was the greatest British goal scorer of all time, in my opinion. Dennis was fantastic, but Gravesy he was a pleasure to watch, and a nice wee guy as well. So Jimmy, wherever, if you're listening, he was. I used to marvel, not just me, and all the other great pros, great professionals from that era, marveled at how easy he made it look. And don't forget, he was up against thugs in those days. I mean, the centre half was a killer, and he just always seemed to have time. So you got to help kids. The biggest thing for children is to provide places for them to learn, to go and play. Lots of football pitches, lots of recreation places for them where they can play. We played in the streets. There was no cars in the village, of course. There was no bikes in the village, never mind a car. So we could play in the streets under a gas lamp. But the kids nowadays, obviously the way the world is, you have to provide the facilities for them to develop their talents, not coaching.
A question on an individual player who plays for Manchester United but also plays for Scotland. It's from Matt United 20. What's your thought, or what do you think of Scott McTominay as a player?
Matt, I like him. I like him. He's your Nobby Styles. He's not the greatest on the ball. He's not the greatest passer. He's not the greatest dribbler. But I like him. He does a job. If you've got people who can play, he'd be great with Paddy Crane and Bobby Charlton. He would be great doing Nobby's job. He wins the ball for you. He's going to have your back. I like him. I like him in my team. He's not going to create He's not a creative midfield player. He's a destroyer. Right, the old Tommy Smiths, you know. But I do like him, yeah. He'd be in my team.
Good friend, Otterman62 is back. Hi, Willie and Callum. Enjoy the show. Hope you're both well. Willie, was there any sense of rivalry between you and Jimmy Johnson during your time together with Scotland, or did you get on well?
We got on great. Jinky, myself. There was 3 of us, Otterman, and Willie Henderson. The first of the duo was little Willie Henderson. I met little Willie, and he was very funny, and he was playing for Rangers, of course, at the time. And then Jinky and I became good pals. No, there was nothing at all. I wish I could have sang like him. I've said before on this program, he had the most fantastic voice. He should have been a singer. He was a wasted talent, Jinky. He should have been a singer. He was brilliant. No. Same with George and I. You know, people. Oh, it must have been. There wasn't. You have to look at the old videos or the old footage on YouTube. George and I complimented each other. You know, made goals for each other. But we loved it, and we made it about together. And you know, obviously, I didn't have much time with Willie or Jimmy because they were up in Scotland and I was down here. But when we were together with Scotland, we all got on great.
And the Otterman's actually got a couple of questions today. He's got 2 more. Next one being, who was the best player you played with for Scotland?
The best player I played with for Scotland. Oh my God. I think probably Dennis. You know, there was lots of great players around at that era. I mean, of course, you know, little Billy Bremner, Davy A. There was a lot. But Dennis was a great striker, a great finisher. So if I had to choose one, it'd be Dennis.
The last question he's got to round off the show, he says, a question for both of you. Who do you think will win Euro 2020? I'll take that on first, Otterman. I know Willie talked about them earlier, but I actually think France will win the tournament. I like Mbappe up front. I think he's got a lot of pace. He's unpredictable at times. I really like him. I think he's probably the best player, forward-thinking player in this tournament that's got decent teammates around him. I think Lewandowski, who plays for Poland, is probably the best striker in the tournament, but they get beat from Slovakia the other night, so they don't really have a team that can maybe help propel him to victory. So I think based on that reckoning, for me, it's France.
Oh, Otterman. I can't say Scotland because we just got beat, but I would love it. My heart wanted to be Scotland. You know, in a tournament like this, no doubt the referees, as they did in 1964, and the 2 linesmen, I think they all got winners' medals, didn't they? The linesman and the referee. Sorry, Callum, go on. The home advantage is massive. Even without full capacity crowds, home advantage is massive. And I think the decisions will go your way. And no matter who's gotten VAR, my God, it's a dreadful thing. I really don't know. I think it's pretty open. I think anyone, it's like Chelsea winning the European Cup. Who would ever have thought at the start of the season, Chelsea will win the European Cup? You couldn't write this stuff. So I think it'll be somebody unexpected. I think we're in for someone unusual. I can't tell you who, but I think it'll be someone unusual.
I think it's definitely going to be open, and I think you've actually ended the show on a really interesting point there, Willie, because as everyone who's listening's watching the games, you've maybe planted a wee seed in their head to think, maybe who you think is going to win isn't quite there, and it could be someone completely out of the pack. So I think that's a good way to end the show. Have you got anything you'd like to say before we go?
Yeah, Steve Clark, you make sure those lads are in bed on Thursday now, early into bed, and let's get a result, pal. And I wish you all the very best.